there's a lot of questions about the economy and the markets right now, and I think this is a good timely topic for us to go over. I whenever you're ready to start, we can. I noticed that the economy gauge, you can see the way that these read is it shows where it once was, and then what you guys are, where you see it has transitioned to or is pointing toward. So it looks like the economy's gone from a slow position to a maybe even slower or neutral position there. Would you like to expand on that for us?
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. The economy, we have notched that gauge back. We want to move this kind of to neutral territory, and it's primarily because of the heels of the strong financial results that we saw last year in the economy. Technically, the first quarter of this year was slightly negative. And obviously, that has to do with the tightening monetary policy conditions, fancy talk for what the Fed is doing and how much they're making money cost.
Mm-hmm.
In the second quarter, we put this gauge back to a neutral position because the Fed is really focused, and I'd add for the first time in a while, to reining in inflation. They've kind of put inflation focus on hold during the pandemic, focused primarily on keeping the economy in the best possible position, keeping jobs in the best possible position. But that unfortunately has led to some price instability, as we know, with high inflation levels.
Mm-hmm.
We believe this is going to be a headwind to economic growth. We believe that the second quarter GDP will still likely be positive, but we acknowledge that growth is likely going to be a lot less. Last year, the economy grew between 6 to 7%. That is, too strong of a growth path, from a Fed standpoint. So the reopening, has exposed issues in the labor market and the supply chain and part shortages, hiring issues, as we know from, seeing help wanted signs in the window. And inflation has, of course, become the dominant theme so far this year. When the pandemic hit, the Fed was really focused on the full employment side of their dual mandate. And I think you could argue that they've accomplished that. And unemployment is low. It's at 3.6%. But now we're seeing inflation readings that are uncomfortably high. And that is why we've, kind of notched the gauge back to neutral. The jobs and the economic growth are not the issue that we're seeing today. Today, we are seeing price instability with consistent inflation numbers between 7 to 9% year over year. So that's why we've got the gauge at neutral right now. We do not know, obviously, whether a recession will develop. Right. If there is one, we likely expect it to be a weaker, shorter recession, because a negative 40% GDP contraction like we saw during the pandemic is not something we're seeing in the data currently.
Right. Well, that's good.
Yeah, we do kind of still expect, pretty decent economic growth this year, just a lot less than last year.
Which is that's a little better story than you hear if you flip on the news these days. Quite a bit of negative talk, and the recession word is thrown around in about every discussion if you watch any financial news, and that picture shows that what I hear from that is it's kind of a normal stage of an economic cycle, and we're just in that part right now, but it's not maybe as depressing as it may seem.